Good evening. My name is Mark Randall. I have produced this video presentation as my submission for Unit 8 of the Health and Safety Officer course administered by Columbia Southern University. In this presentation, I will speak on why a comprehensive occupational health and safety program is so important and how the Health and Safety Officer spearheads the program. The Health and Safety Officer is involved with every facet of the fire department and emergency response. The Health and Safety Officer uses their position to ensure the occupational health and safety program fulfills its purpose. The overall goal of the occupational health and safety program and the health and safety officer is preventing injuries and illnesses to employees in the workplace by minimizing risks, creating the safest possible work environment, and developing and promoting health and wellness programs. With risk and hazard associated with the fire department and fire service, a person who is dedicated to the well-being of fire and EMS personnel and the prevention of injuries is essential. Lessons learned from past experiences, NFPA and OSHA standards, and documented best practices are used to create a safer, more efficient procedure and policies. Starting with the first day of the training orientation, health and safety is the overriding factor in the emergency service. Trainees are taught what is expected of them to keep themselves safe and physically and mentally healthy, as well as how to look out for their coworkers. Policy on training, as well as training content itself, is strongly influenced by the health and safety officer. For example, training evolutions, training safety equipment, the training environment itself should all be conducted under the recommendations of a safety officer. Just last week, I stopped by a division of training where they were conducting evolutions with new trainees in 90-degree heat. My primary reason for stopping was to ensure that proper breaks and hydration were being instituted in the high heat conditions. After observing the training, I spoke with the officer in charge. He agreed my concerns were valid and my recommendations were instituted. Not only the recommendations I had made on the prevention of heat exhaustion and dehydration, but also training evolution setup as well. The exhaust from a fire engine, which was being used for a pumping evolution, was venting 15 feet from the forcible entry prop. The fire engine was moved and the hazard was averted. Sometimes a person whose sole responsibility is for looking out for avoidable risks and hazards will see things that others have overlooked while they are preoccupied with completing the assigned task. Managing safety at an incident scene is not to be taken lightly. Risk versus reward must be continually evaluated throughout the incident. Risk a lot to save lives, risk a little to save property, risk nothing to save what is already lost. During incident progression, risk versus reward may change. Personnel actively involved in mitigating the incident may be too focused on tasks to see the big picture. An example of this would be an engine company reporting they are making good progress with extinguishment of a fire on the 3rd floor and not understanding the reasoning behind the orders to evacuate the building given by the incident commander. The incident commander, who is advised by the health and safety officer, has ordered the evacuation because he sees the overall situation. The lightweight truss roof has burned through. Collapse of the roof is imminent. Someone overseeing the big picture, as well as looking for small clues which foretell trouble, is the job of the health and safety officer. After an incident, debriefings, post-incident analysis are where compliments are given, but more importantly, weaknesses are identified. These weaknesses are lessons learned I spoke of earlier. Weaknesses are documented and evaluated. Policy procedures are revised or developed to overcome deficiencies, while training educates personnel and strengthens tactics. The administrative aspect of the health and safety officer's job and the occupational health and safety program does not have the instant gratification or excitement of the active scene management, but it is just as crucial. The behind-the-scenes health and wellness program keeps emergency service personnel physically healthy and, just importantly, mentally healthy. According to a study from the Journal of Occupational Health Psychology, approximately 20% of firefighters and paramedics meet the criteria for post-traumatic stress at some point during their career, according to the Rumen White Paper on Mental Health and Suicide for First Responders. According to the Rumen White Paper on Mental Health and Suicide for First Responders, the suicide rate for firefighters is 18 per 100,000 compared to 13 per 100,000 for the general public. A well-developed and publicized Employee Assistance Program, EAP, can literally be a lifesaver for first responders and their families. Early intervention with substance abuse, anxiety, depression can get our first responders and their families on a path to recovery and help them become productive and healthy employees once again. NFPA 1582 Physical Wellness Program assesses firefighters' health and fitness through a range of tests, including hearing and eyesight evaluations, pulmonary function tests, cardiopulmonary assessments, comprehensive blood analysis, and chest and lung x-rays. This requires the annual physical, which is overseen by the health and safety officer. It is designed to catch illnesses and injuries in an early attempt to identify issues which may become life-threatening or career-ending if left to progress. Exercise programs as well as healthy lifestyle habits are promoted through wellness programs and part of the Occupational Health and Safety Program. These programs promote physically strong, flexible, and healthy first responders, preparing them for the physically demanding tasks involved in emergency service response. The wellness programs instituted by the Health and Safety Officer prevent and minimize injuries and illnesses to first responders as well. NFPA 1581 Standard on Fire Department Infection Control Program is the minimum requirements for the Fire Department Infection Control Program and coincides with the wellness program. Using NFPA standards, policy is created to identify and limit potential of infectious exposure to first responders during the performance of their duties and within the station. How do we recognize if our policy is actually making a positive impact? We collect and use data to justify the programs. Take protective clothing and protective equipment inspection program, for example. Turnout gear is inspected and reports are submitted regarding its condition. The data is recorded and organized. From the data, recommendations can be made on whether the gear is performing as projected and if other gear may be better suited for the department. Accident, injuries, use of sick time, broken equipment, and damaged gear all produce data, which needs to be recorded, organized, and evaluated. The information is used in the Occupational Health and Safety Program to validate policies, programs, and equipment. If positive results are not achieved, policies and programs are once again evaluated, revised, using standards, best practices, and lessons learned. In conclusion, the Occupational Health and Safety Program keeps first responders safe, healthy, and efficient by instituting policies, procedures, and programs which, as an added benefit, saves money for the municipality. Thank you for your attention and have a safe day.